Torres, we know what you took. The black box from the nuclear plant. You are not getting anywhere. Hand it over and we can settle this easily.
I do not have.
Nurse helped veterans PTSD attack. Hells Angels president revealed veteran saved his life. When ER nurse Lisa Martinez calmed a violent PTSD episode, she never expected the Hells Angels president to arrive claiming the veteran was a federal fugitive who'd once saved his daughter's life. Chicago General's emergency department erupted with Friday night chaos, gunshots, overdoses, domestic violence streaming through automatic doors. Harsh fluorescent lights cast shadows over desperate faces while monitors screamed urgent warnings above controlled pandemonium. At 11:47 p.m., exhausted staff moved between trauma bays with practiced efficiency. Each case a life or death decision, compressed into minutes of frantic intervention. Lisa Martinez had worked emergency nursing for 12 years, specializing in psychiatric crises and violent patients. Her small stature disguised exceptional training in crisis de-escalation learned during military service in Iraq, where she'd treated battlefield casualties in field hospitals that prepared her for anything civilian emergency medicine could present. Tonight marked her third consecutive double shift, fatigue masked by caffeine and professional adrenaline. Her own PTSD from combat medicine remained controlled through therapy, but traumatized veterans always tested her emotional stability. She'd learned to compartmentalize personal triggers while providing care to patients experiencing psychological emergencies that mirrored her deployment experiences. Lisa understood the specific patterns that transformed veterans into unpredictable threats: the 1,000-yard stare, the hypervigilance, the way combat flashbacks could turn trained soldiers into dangers to themselves and everyone around them. Sometimes, the people who'd saved others needed saving themselves. Security called Code Gray to Trauma Bay. 3. Violent psychiatric patient requiring immediate intervention. Lisa grabbed her emergency kit and rushed toward shouting and crashing equipment. Through the curtain, she glimpsed a bearded man fighting restraints while screaming about incoming mortars, his eyes wild with flashbacks that made him dangerous to everyone present. Another warrior trapped in yesterday's battlefield. "Get back! RPG incoming!" The veteran thrashed against soft restraints while security guards struggled to prevent self-injury. Blood streamed from scratches where he'd clawed at imaginary shrapnel. Lisa assessed quickly classic PTSD flashback, patient perceiving all medical staff as combat threats. "Everyone step back," she ordered, approaching with empty hands visible. "Sir, I'm Lisa, Army veteran and medic. You're safe at Chicago General." The man's eyes focused briefly. "Medic?" he gasped. "That's right. You're wounded but stable. No enemy contact." Lisa used military terminology to penetrate his psychological chaos. "Torres, Manuel Torres, 1st Battalion, 75th Rangers," he replied automatically. But his hospital bracelet read Michael Thompson. Lisa found his medical alert bracelet severe PTSD, medication allergies, emergency contacts, either false identification or identity confusion during his episode. "Torres, focus on my voice. We're getting you stabilized," Lisa said, buying time while processing the name discrepancy that suggested complications beyond routine psychiatric emergency. Lisa's approach required military precision, established trust through shared service, while gradually reorienting him to present reality. Combat veterans responded to authoritative calm better than civilian therapeutic techniques during acute episodes. Over 20 minutes, she successfully de-escalated Torres's flashback using trauma-informed care. His breathing stabilized. The wild look faded. Reality gradually replaced combat memories. "Where am I?" Torres asked, examining his surroundings with post-episode confusion. "Chicago General, you had a psychological episode, but you're safe." Lisa studied his face, something familiar nagging her memory. "You really serve?" Torres asked. "Iraq, 2007-2009, Field Hospital at FOB Liberty. I was there, different unit, but I remember that hospital." Torres paused, studying Lisa intently. "July 2008, mass casualty event. IED attack on convoy, multiple Rangers wounded. You were the medic who worked 18 hours straight." Lisa's breath caught. She did remember that horrific night, one of the worst casualty events during her deployment. "You saved my squad," Torres continued quietly, "including me." The circle of rescue was already complete. Lisa just didn't know it yet. Recognition hit Lisa like lightning. Patient 7, shrapnel in your chest, collapsed lung, going into shock when they brought you in. Torres nodded. "You told me soldiers don't die on your watch while you performed field surgery without proper equipment." Before Lisa could process this revelation fully, Security Chief Rodriguez approached with obvious concern. "Nurse Martinez, we have a problem. Your patient's fingerprints came back. Manuel Torres is a federal fugitive wanted for weapons trafficking." Lisa felt professional obligation conflicting with protective instinct toward a fellow veteran she'd saved overseas. How long until federal response? "FBI's 20 minutes out, and we've got motorcycle activity in the parking lot, large group wearing colors." Through trauma bay windows, Lisa saw dozens of Harleys surrounding the hospital entrance, riders maintaining disciplined formation despite the late hour. Torres noticed the bikes. "They found me," he said with resigned acceptance. "Lisa, before FBI gets here, I need to tell you why I'm a fugitive. Sometimes the people you save come back to save you or destroy everything you've built." 3 years ago, Hells Angels President Bear Kowalski's 8-year-old daughter was kidnapped by cartel members, Torres explained rapidly. FBI couldn't move fast enough. Jurisdiction issues, evidence requirements, bureaucratic delays that meant Sophia would die. Lisa stared as Torres continued. "I stole military weapons and went after her alone, saved the girl, but broke federal law doing it." The moral complexity hit Lisa. Torres was simultaneously hero and criminal. "You risked everything for a child?" "Because you taught me what it means to be saved when official systems fail," Torres replied. "You saved my life when protocol said I was expendable. I saved Sophia when legal channels said she was expendable." FBI Special Agent Sarah Chen arrived with tactical team, immediately recognizing Hells Angels' presence as potential obstruction. But Chen carried personal weight in her expression. This wasn't routine federal law enforcement. "Agent Chen?" Lisa asked, noting the agent's obvious emotional investment. "Manuel Torres killed my partner 3 years ago during the weapons theft," Chen said quietly. "Tony was investigating the missing ordnance when Torres ambushed him. The circle of consequence was darker than anyone realized. Bear Kowalski entered with 2 lieutenants, their presence commanding immediate attention despite respectful demeanor. I need to see Manuel Torres. He's family." Chen's hand moved toward her weapon. "Mr. Kowalski, Torres is a federal fugitive wanted for murdering a federal agent." "Agent Chen, that man saved my daughter when your people couldn't help," Bear replied with dangerous calm. "He's under our protection." Lisa realized she was witnessing collision between competing loyalties, Chen seeking justice for her murdered partner, Bear protecting the man who'd saved his child, and Torres caught between accountability and survival. Hospital Administrator Dr. Williams activated Code Silver armed security threat requiring lockdown. 30 Hells Angels members positioned throughout the emergency department while federal agents prepared for potential confrontation. "This is a healthcare facility," Dr. Williams announced. "Any violence here violates both federal law and medical ethics." Torres struggled to sit despite his condition. "I won't let anyone else get hurt because of my choices." "Agent Chen, your partner Tony Rodriguez was my friend too," Torres said, shocking everyone. "We served together in Afghanistan before he joined FBI." Chen's expression shifted from anger to confusion. "Tony never mentioned knowing you." "Because I asked him not to. When I stole those weapons, I knew Tony would try to stop me legally. I couldn't let him compromise his career for my decision." Torres's voice broke. "I didn't ambush Tony. I was trying to surrender the weapons to him when cartel members followed me. They killed Tony to keep him from testifying about their daughter kidnapping operation." Chen stared at Torres, her certainty crumbling. "The ballistics evidence came from cartel weapons, not military ordnance. Tony died because I involved him in something that should have stayed between me and the kidnappers." Bear stepped forward. "Torres never told me a federal agent died during Sophia's rescue. If I'd known..." "You'd have what? Protected him less?" Chen demanded. The trauma bay fell silent as 3 people processed how military service, criminal activity, and federal law enforcement had intersected in ways none of them fully understood. Lisa realized Torres was carrying survivor guilt about Agent Rodriguez's death, just like he'd carried combat trauma from Iraq, believing himself responsible for casualties beyond his control. "Torres, you can't save everyone," Lisa said, recognizing his psychological pattern. "But you can't destroy yourself over the people you couldn't save either." Chen studied Torres with new perspective. "If cartel members killed Tony, why didn't you come forward with that information?" "Because I still stole federal weapons. Being right about Sophia's rescue doesn't make me innocent of weapons trafficking." The hospital's emergency department had become an unlikely courtroom where federal law, criminal loyalty, and medical ethics intersected around shared military service and tragic consequences. Bear's radio crackled, "Boss, more feds arriving. SWAT, ATF, looks like Federal Task Force response." The situation was escalating beyond anyone's ability to control, except through the one thing that had started it all: someone choosing to save a life. Federal tactical teams surrounded Chicago General, while 30 Hells Angels maintained protective positions inside. The hospital became a standoff zone between competing authorities' agents seeking Torres's arrest, bikers committed to protecting him, medical staff trapped between conflicting loyalties. "Agent Chen, we need immediate extraction," Tactical Commander radioed. "Too many civilians, too many variables for safe arrest." But Chen wasn't thinking tactically, she was processing Torres's claim about her partner's death. "Torres, if cartel members killed Tony, where's your evidence?" "Hidden with someone who knew both of you," Torres replied. "Someone Tony trusted completely." Chen's eyes widened. "My father, Tony's former training officer." Lisa watched this revelation unfold while monitoring Torres's vital signs. His psychological stress was approaching dangerous levels. PTSD symptoms returning as external pressure mounted. Bear stepped closer to Chen. "Agent, My daughter's alive because this man risked everything when legal systems failed. If he's telling the truth about your partner, then I've been hunting the wrong person for 3 years, Chen finished, her professional certainty collapsing around her. Through trauma bay windows, they could see media trucks arriving, federal snipers taking positions, and more Hells Angels members appearing in support of their president. Sometimes the truth arrives at the worst possible moment. Torres began hyperventilating as PTSD symptoms returned. "Lisa, I can't. The walls are closing. Feels like combat." Lisa recognized the signs of another flashback triggered by extreme stress. "Torres, focus on my voice. You're in Chicago, General, not Afghanistan." But Chen had made a decision. "Torres, I'm calling my father right now. If you're telling the truth about Tony's death, everything changes." Chen's hand shook as she dialed. "Dad, it's Sarah. I need you to check evidence storage for items Tony Rodriguez left with you before he died. Look for anything connected to Manuel Torres." The phone conversation lasted 2 minutes that felt like hours. Chen's expression shifted from skepticism to horror to rage, but not at Torres. "Dad found Tony's personal files," Chen announced to the room. "Cartel surveillance photos, evidence of Los Hermanos' involvement in Sofia Kowalski's kidnapping, and Tony's notes about Manuel Torres requesting federal protection in exchange for testimony." Bear's face darkened. "You mean Torres was trying to work with law enforcement?" "Tony was building a case against Los Hermanos using Torres as a witness when cartel assassins killed him to prevent testimony," Chen continued, her voice breaking. The truth hit everyone simultaneously. Torres hadn't ambushed Agent Rodriguez. He'd been trying to surrender evidence that would have destroyed a major cartel operation. Rodriguez had died protecting a witness, not chasing a fugitive. 3 years, Chen whispered. 3 years I've been hunting the wrong person while the real killer stayed free. Torres struggled to breathe as guilt and vindication warred in his mind. "Tony died because I got him involved. Doesn't matter if I was innocent, he's still dead because of my choices." Lisa stepped forward with medical authority. "Torres, you saved a child. Agent Rodriguez died doing his job. Bear protected his family. Agent Chen sought justice for her partner. Everyone did what they thought was right." Bear nodded slowly. "Sometimes good people make hard choices that create complicated consequences." Chen looked at Torres through tears. "I owe you an apology, and I owe Tony justice against his real killers." The circle of rescue was complete. Now came the harder circle of healing. Federal Tactical Commander demanded immediate resolution. "Agent Chen, what's your call? Extract the fugitive or negotiate?" Chen faced the biggest decision of her career: arrest the man she'd blamed for her partner's death, or use his testimony to finally bring Tony's real killers to justice. "Torres, I need your full cooperation with our investigation into Los Hermanos cartel," Chen said formally. "In exchange, federal charges will be reduced to reflect actual circumstances." Torres nodded, despite his medical condition. "Whatever helps, put Tony's killers away." Bear stepped forward. "Agent Chen, Hell's Angels will provide any assistance needed to eliminate the cartel members who killed a federal officer." Lisa watched 3 unlikely allies form around shared commitment to justice rather than revenge. Sometimes, healing required choosing accountability over anger. Hospital Administrator Williams faced unprecedented crisis management federal standoff. Organized crime presence, media attention, and patient care needs all demanding simultaneous resolution. People, we have civilians requiring medical treatment while this situation unfolds, Williams announced. Agent Chen, Mr. Kowalski, we need immediate de-escalation. Torres struggled to stand despite medical protocols. Everyone's here because of my choices. I'll surrender to federal custody and provide complete testimony about Los Hermanos operations. Chen studied Torres with professional respect, replacing personal vendetta. Mr. Torres, your cooperation could prevent other families from experiencing what the Kowalskis endured. Bear's radio crackled with updates from his members throughout the hospital. Boss, federal teams are standing down. Looks like negotiation instead of tactical response. Torres, federal cooperation requires witness protection, Chen explained. You'd need to disappear completely, new identity, relocation, no contact with former associates. Bear's expression darkened. Agent, this man saved my daughter. Hell's Angels don't abandon family. And I won't ask you to, Torres replied, but I won't hide behind criminal protection while cartel members who killed a federal officer stay free. Lisa recognized Torres's choice as psychological healing, accepting accountability while using his experience to prevent future harm. Torres, this is how you honor both Tony's sacrifice and Sophia's rescue. Chen nodded. Your testimony could dismantle Los Hermanos completely. Tony would want his death to mean something. The trauma bay fell silent as Torres processed the hardest decision of his life: safety through criminal protection or justice through federal cooperation. Bear, your daughter's alive because someone chose to act when official systems failed, Torres said quietly. Now I'm choosing to trust official systems to finish what Tony started. Bear extended his hand to Torres with obvious emotion. Brother, you taught me that real strength means facing consequences for your choices. Chen stepped forward with federal authority tempered by personal respect. Mr. Torres, on behalf of the FBI and in memory of Agent Rodriguez, thank you for your courage. Lisa watched Torres transform from fugitive to witness, from patient to participant in justice rather than victim of circumstance. Torres, you've spent 3 years running from the truth. Now you're running toward it. Federal custody replaced medical restraints as Torres voluntarily surrendered for witness protection and testimony preparation. Bear ensured his members withdrew peacefully while maintaining respectful presence until Torres's safe transfer. Agent Chen, I want you to know Tony talked about his partner Sarah constantly, Torres said as handcuffs replaced IV lines. He was proud of your career, proud of your integrity. Chen wiped away tears. Torres, Tony would be proud of your choice today too. Lisa realized she'd witnessed the complete circle of rescue. She'd saved Torres overseas. Torres had saved Sophia stateside. Bear had protected Torres from vengeance. And Chen was choosing justice over revenge. Sometimes, the people you save return to save others, creating circles of healing that extend far beyond any single act of courage. Torres's testimony led to the arrest of 12 Los Hermanos cartel members, including Agent Rodriguez's killers. Chen received commendation for solving her partner's murder, while Torres entered witness protection with reduced federal charges. Bear established a veteran support fund in Torres's honor, providing legal assistance for military personnel facing impossible moral choices. Lisa maintained contact with all parties, facilitating ongoing healing through shared service to others. 2 years later, Los Hermanos cartel was dismantled through Torres's ongoing testimony and Chen's persistent investigation. Torres completed witness protection and began working with veteran advocacy organizations, using his experience to help other combat veterans navigate legal and psychological challenges. They learned that true justice recognizes how people save each other in complicated ways, that accountability and loyalty can coexist when guided by commitment to protecting the innocent rather than protecting the powerful. Sometimes the people you save return to save others, creating circles of healing that extend far beyond any single act of courage.